Welcome to Hockey Nights in Vegas, episode 106. My name is Eddie Rivkin. I'm joined as always by Chris Chapman of Fox Sports Las Vegas and the Vegas Golden Knights pre- and post-game show. This episode, like all others, is brought to you by the Las Vegas Advisor at www.lasvegasadvisor.com, by my very good friend Dr. John Pierce at agelessforever.net, and by Joe and Boris at the Marathon Law Group, www.marathonlawgroup.com. You know, I always like to try and shock you with something right off the top. So I've come up with a fun name for today's episode.
Okay.
Fuck, sucked, and puck luck.
All right. Well, the puck luck was
go start from the beginning.
Well, fucked.
Fuck was the second period against Edmonton that cost him the game.
Right. Sucked was the game against Winnipeg.
All things Winnipeg.
And puck luck was
Riley Smith
in Calgary.
That's pretty fair, right?
Yeah, listen.
I mean, too bad we got to talk about more than 3 games, but I thought that was a clever little ditty to start with. We probably won't use that, but
and we don't want to use the word ditty either.
Yeah.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah, him too. But
fucking piece of shit.
I don't want to spend a ton of time on those games, but you know, because I think the big takeaway from the whole thing, not counting the puck luck thing, was Bruce after the Winnipeg game.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, when he says something to the effect of, I don't go in the locker room after the game.
Yeah.
And I found out that an overwhelming majority of the people, the fans, think that that's crazy. I know that's routine. After you've stuck your ass out for 2.5 hours, given everything that you have, your heart and soul, you're charged up, right? My coaches never, I mean, when I was a little kid, yes, but you know, half the time they were there to help us unlace our skates.
Yeah.
But as my game got older, as I grew up, the coaches give the players time to sort of, you know, decompress. Peter Laviolette said it after they shit the bed a couple of nights too. He said, I don't talk to the players after the game.
You know, I did not know that. Like, it doesn't shock me.
Does it make sense to you?
It does. Yeah. First of all, these guys are professionals.
Right.
They know if they did something wrong. They know if they played like shit. Like, they don't need some coach coming in there after they've played 60 minutes and in the Winnipeg game, 60 minutes of shit. Generally, they don't need
a scolding.
A scolding, right? They're professionals. Listen, I played sports growing up, and I played on a lot of winning teams. I didn't play on a lot of shit teams growing up. So we won a lot. And the coach generally, after those games, wouldn't give us a rah-rah speech. He would just say, good job, guys, and we'd get our sodas or whatever, and that was it. But it doesn't shock me that professional, and I would imagine in other sports, like, I mean, it's funny because, like, I have a friend who's really good friends with a professional baseball manager, and they don't talk to the players, or he doesn't talk to the players after the game. Like, he doesn't come up to a pitcher who threw 5 innings and pitched like shit.
Paul Skeens of Pittsburgh yesterday.
I didn't see that. Did he pitch bad?
6 innings, 5 earned, 7 Ks. Worst start of his pro career.
Wow. 7 Ks is the worst start. But like, he's told me, he's like, I don't talk to the players after, you know. He's like, these guys, they have 162 of these.
Yeah.
I don't need to come in and let guys who are pros, who've been professionals for 5, 6, 7 years, they know what they did wrong. Like, you don't think a guy like Mark Stone knew what went wrong after the Edmonton game?
Well, he knew because we talked to him.
Yeah, but
you know, but aside from that, Bruce's comments after the Winnipeg game,
they were concerning.
When he said, "This isn't new," or this isn't a one-off, right?
Right.
When he went deeper in a way, it was really kind of subtle. But if you slowed it down and watched it a couple of times, we're not playing winning hockey against winning hockey teams. right? We're playing teams that from the East that we're beating up and were significantly better than.
That's great. You smoked the Red Wings. It's great. You beat Tampa.
Don't pick on the fucking Red Wings.
I'm just throwing a name out. It's great you beat Toronto.
Okay, that's better. But
you got to beat Edmonton. You got to beat Winnipeg. You got to beat Colorado.
You got to beat L.A.
That's a tough one.
So and I think we both thought he was going to be angrier when he came in.
Especially after I called this team soft.
Yeah, that was perhaps a tiny misstep on your part. But aside from that, he was dour, right?
Yeah.
But he's also, as we know, because we get to talk to him all the time, incredibly reflective.
Yes.
He completely 100% understands everything in the VGK world around him. And, he said wasn't good enough. The players all said wasn't good enough. Stevie Wonder said it wasn't good enough, and he didn't even see the game. Right? And it was horrible. I mean, that was one of those not play for the crest on your chest kind of showings.
Yeah, the Winnipeg game, I think, was concerning in the regards that they played Eric Comrie in the game. And no disrespect to Eric Comrie. Like, look, you know what? The guy's in the league. He's been in the league for a long time.
He's not Connor Hellebuck.
Right. And for them to get shut out at home.
But to his credit,
he played a great game.
He had a very, very above Eric Comrie kind of effort. But not unlike what's his face? Fucking Pickard.
Oh, yeah.
Calvin Pickard.
He was good in the third period.
Right.
But they should have that game against Edmonton, they lost that game in the first period when they didn't go out and put more than one goal up on the board, because 19 seconds into the second period, it's a level game. And Jake Wallman? Is that his name?
Yep.
Jake Wallman has that shot 19 seconds into the second period, and all of a sudden, all the hard work you put in is gone.
And they had a very good first period, and they had an excellent third period.
Yeah, the problem was they
completely shit the bed in the second
and
period.
then what really kind of didn't sit well with me was they followed that up against Winnipeg, good team, and in theory, a team you could have caught because you had the game in hand. You would have been able to cut the deficit to 4. Maybe you win your game in hand. It's now down to 2. The pressure's on those guys. But I thought that they didn't have the urgency early on. They get the power play early. They don't really do anything with it. They don't really do. They just seem to lack the urgency in that game against Winnipeg.
They never really. It seemed like they never really engaged.
And that's a problem. When this team is engaged.
And shouldn't they have been, I don't know if hyper engaged is, shouldn't they have been farther over the zero line engagement after what happened 2 nights before against Edmonton?
That's the problem.
That was we're all sitting in the booth saying, listen, this one's going to be a slobber knocker.
Yeah,
and
we were expecting
we got the slobber knockered out of our fucking club.
Yeah, we were expecting a much better effort, I think.
Any effort.
I mean, and I don't call into question the effort very often, but that was a game where they just did not seem
how could you not call it?
Yeah, like they just didn't seem dialed in. And this team, when they're engaged, they're absolutely one of the 3 or 4 best teams in the league. Like if they are fully engaged, like we saw it, the game early in the year against Colorado, they fucking demolished them. Was it the first game of the season?
Wasn't it 7-0, or was that last season's first game?
I think it was last. I think they won 8-4 this year. I have to go back and they put up a shitload of goals,
right.
And that's granted, that's not the same Colorado team that they played last night, but it's still a really good Colorado team, which at the time had Nathan McKinnon, Mikko Rantanen, they had Cale Makar. Their goalie situation was not sorted out like it seems to be now, but they bombed Winnipeg early in the year. They have the capability.
That was their first loss against Winnipeg in 3 years.
Yeah, 8 straight games that they had won.
8 out of 9, and most of them
not competitive games.
Yeah, not especially competitive, I don't think.
I mean, listen, you're not going to beat every team every time you play them. But
8 out of 9 against a team that's a legitimate President's Trophy.
Yes, I mean that's
domination.
Yeah,
right.
And I think Winnipeg. I mean, listen, I'd be lying if I said I watch the Jets a lot. I don't, but I don't think they played a particularly great game against Golden Knights last week. They just went out there and did what they had to do.
They just played a Winnipeg Jets game. That's how they play.
Yeah, it wasn't like anything that was amazing. I mean, I know Kyle Connor got the empty net goal at the end,
but of course, after those 2 losses, the sky's falling. That's our free shot at the fan base. We like to get one good dig in the fan base.
Yeah,
because then it's a collapse. Oh my God, they're not even going to win the division, or they might fall to wild card, or
Sky's Chicken Little. But Eddie, the thing is, and I don't generally go down the psychological.
Want to try that one more time?
The psychological aspect of the game is this was a team that had won 6 in a row in that stretch.
Convincingly.
They come home, and I think maybe there's wait a minute. The emotions of maybe not having Tomas Hertl kind of at that moment, after you win all these games in a row, a bunch of them without him, you come home, and then you have that moment to think about it, the fact that, wait a minute, we don't really have him. And I think at some point there has to be an emotional letdown, despite how well they played on the road.
Okay.
I think there's a little bit of an emotional letdown sometimes, and we've heard these guys say it when that first game at home.
Well, that's a notorious betting tip.
Yeah,
that's like the secret in the know things. Teams coming back from long road trips and they haven't seen their family for a while.
Right,
they've got kids, they've got wife requirements,
well,
they've got life requirements. The first game back is usually a pretty good game to bet the road team.
And the other thing in that is, do you remember what happened in the Nashville game for this team?
Which Nashville game? They played them twice.
Well, the one recently.
The one where they went down 4-0?
No, the one where the last one they played.
Okay.
On the road trip.
I don't know where you're getting at.
So they had Aiden Hill play back-to-back games less than 24 hours apart.
Well, yeah, so Sammy strained something.
Yeah, no, but they were so high for Aiden Hill to do that I just think there was an emotional letdown last week. And listen, you play 82 games. There's going to be lulls, and there's going to be moments in the season where maybe for whatever reason you're not fully engaged. And I think when you factor in oh shit, we really don't have Hertl right now, and he started skating.
Yeah, he's on the trip. Or he was on the trip.
So maybe the idea in between Edmonton and Winnipeg, because he skated at the team picture, and they didn't practice that day at T-Mobile, but they skated around and had fun and goofed off, even after the bad second period against Edmonton. And I think there's a lot of emotion in this game, and sometimes it's just hard to recreate the emotion of, Aiden Hill just played 2 games in less than 24 hours and we won. Well, how do we get up for this now?
I think it's inexplicable. It's also, besides being inexplicable, I think it's inexcusable. Well, especially the Winnipeg game.
The coach will certainly.
Yeah, I mean,
and he basically said as much to us after the Winnipeg game. Like, listen, I'm paraphrasing here, but he was like, "This is not acceptable.
Yeah,
this is not the way this team plays." And he mentioned that he was a little concerned with Western Conference teams that are good coming into T-Mobile and beating the Golden Knights, and he mentioned them by name: L.A., Edmonton, tonight at Winnipeg. So
let's fast forward. They go into Vancouver. Vancouver at that point still had 2 breaths left. to make the playoffs.
Do they have any now?
I think they have one mathematical chance left, but I think they get the Big E tonight at some point.
Turn the lights out in the Vancouver.
Yeah. So, but it was a solid effort against Vancouver.
Yeah.
Right? It was this is a terrible phrase. It was a much more VGK-like performance by the club. But it was, right?
Right.
And then you get to last night, and this is going to sound ridiculously obtuse. Last night was a throwaway game. The amount of stars, we find out an hour before Jack can't go. Haig and Pietrangelo
are sick.
Are sick, and there was a comment, I can't remember what blog site I saw it, that there might be something going through the room.
Well, apparently Carlson was sick recently.
Did Bruce say that a couple others went because they had to, because we didn't have enough bodies?
I don't remember where I heard it, but it sounded like there may be something going through the room, and the comment I heard was, well, you want it to happen today, as opposed to a week and a half from now.
Yeah, for sure. But besides, no Jack, no Haig, no Pietrangelo, no Hurdle, though they're teasing his return. Could be tomorrow night, could be Saturday against Nashville.
Well, yeah, we don't know because they didn't skate today. No practice on Wednesday.
So, but Colorado was missing an ass load of people too.
No Marty Natchez.
I mean, just
no Sammy Girard.
This was,
they played the backup goalie.
This was the equivalent of an exhibition game for points. There was very little intensity, right? The Golden Knights played a great first period. They got curb smashed in the second.
Yeah.
The third was fairly equal, but it was just like, can we just fucking go home? Give us our 1 point. Let us have home ice for the first round, and let's just get the fuck home.
So the only thing I have with last night's game, because again, it's a game that had to be played, but it was generally a meaningless game. The most important thing is you came away from that game without, as far as we know, anyone else getting injured for both teams, right? Jared Bednar's probably saying the same exact thing Bruce Cassidy's saying. Hey, thank God no one got hurt.
Because their fate's pretty sealed.
They were locked into that third spot. They're not catching Dallas.
And the only question is, does Dallas catch Winnipeg? But we're not talking about other teams, so it doesn't matter.
Now, the aspect of the game that doesn't sit well with me is the goal that was reviewed and determined to be a good goal when it appeared. From what we saw, there was zero chance you could make that decision based on...
But you know that Toronto has views that the TV coverage doesn't have.
So this was broadcast in the game last night on the radio side from Gary Lawless that he got someone from somewhere reached out to him and let him know that Toronto has an overhead view from the crossbar, and apparently it was pretty obvious from that camera angle that the puck was across the goal line. So we have to take that for what it's worth.
Really?
Which I'm going to take it as
hold on. Lawless said, I just want to make sure that I have this right before I make my next comment. Otherwise, I'm going to sound like a moron. Lawless said that Toronto has a view from the crossbar.
Yes.
Well, the Two Handsome Bastards investigating company is going to go look at the NHL nets tomorrow night before the Seattle game, because I got to fucking know if that's true. I'm sorry. As a fucking hockey nerd, if anything, that would be the view you would want the whole world to see, because they're justifying the fucking goal with that view.
That's what I want to know. Why do we not see that angle? Why are they... Like, my personal opinion on it is...
Do you think it's true?
I don't know. I don't think Lawless is lying.
I don't think he's lying about what he's saying.
And I don't think he was lying about what he was told.
I think that what he was told might have been a lie. I mean, listen, you and I are fairly techie nerds when it comes to sound gear and cameras and
You
everything
much
like
more
that.
than me, yeah.
And I know that the camera that they would embed in the crossbar would be not much bigger than the button on your shirt, probably.
Right.
You know, it'd be super tiny, right?
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go. What's that cranky bastard's name that runs the Zamboni door? Is it Bill? You know, the old guy, crew cut. That he's like in charge of the ice production.
The security guy?
No. The VGK guy,
Okay.
old wiry guy. He's always back there. He runs the ice crews and the Zamboni guys, and he's the rink manager. I think is the layman's term for what he does.
I will do you one better.
Okay.
I will today, when I get to the station,
Okay.
I will clip the audio
Okay.
of what Gary said on the broadcast.
I'm not indicting.
And
for the record,
but
I'm not indicting Gary.
Maybe I misheard what he said, but I am very sure he said from the crossbar. So now I'm doubting what I said or what I heard.
All right,
So
we're gonna get to the bottom.
So
of this.
I will go back and clip it and listen to it, and we can do our investigative. Hockey nights in Vegas. We could put our
detective sleuth hats on.
What do they call the hat that fucking Sherlock Holmes used to wear?
I don't know.
I don't know. Watson.
Watson. All right, that's enough for the front section. Let's get a word in from Dr. John Pierce at Ageless Forever, and when we get back, I have a new favorite Golden Knight.
Oh,
what do you think of that? We'll be right back. So, if there's a little bit too much whip in the shaft of your hockey stick, and you want to be able to hit the back of the net, here's your answer, but I'm not going to tell you anything about it because I'm going to let my good friend Dr. Pierce tell you exactly what this bad boy is, and prepare to be amazed.
This is the Phoenix Pro. This is a home unit to deliver extracorporeal, I call it sound wave therapy. The technical term is shock wave therapy.
Here's where we get to the fun stuff, kids.
Hey, they applied it to their genitalia, and they found that yes, indeed, it improves blood flow. We talk about male genitalia. What is an erection? It is a blood flow issue. So if you're having issues and you've gone to see your doctor, you've had your testosterone balanced, and you're doing those things, and it's working great. If you're finding that you're using a medication like Viagra, Cialis, something like that, and you're finding less and less effect, that means that the blood flow isn't as good. Something like this can help to mitigate that issue.
So let me break this down for you in layman's terms. If your junk is more like a pool noodle than a pool cue, it's going to make your junk hard. Dr. John Pierce, Ageless Forever, www.agelessforever.net. Don't be shy. Send a message. The first consultation is free. You'll meet with Dr. Pierce personally. You'll have the ability to share whatever it is you want to share. This bad boy works. So, something for you to think about. www.agelessforever.net. Send a message, take advantage of the free consultation, and let's get you to be the best you can be. I keep stepping on this fucking wire and it's pulling my head back. All right, Chapman, I have a new favorite Vegas Golden Knight. I'll give you 2 guesses.
all right. I will guess Keegan Colasar.
No. I like him. I'd love
Okay.
to have him on the podcast. I think he's a lot funnier than he leads on when he does media.
Yeah.
But no, not him.
Okay. Cole Schwint.
It's an obtuse guess, but no.
Okay.
How many times on this podcast or sitting next to me in the press box have you heard me utter the phrase, shoot the fucking puck?
Many.
Victor Olofsson.
I was going to guess him, but
Victor Olofsson.
I didn't think it would be him.
I'm a fanboy of Victor Olofsson because somebody told him to shoot the fucking puck, and he had 9 against Calgary, 5 against Vancouver, and I think 3 or 4 last night.
Yeah.
if we could you imagine? And he finally scored. Right?
He did.
And
yes.
and not just shooting for the sake
Game-winning
of
goal.
Game-winning goal, but not just shooting for the sake of shooting the puck. He had grade A's in those 9 shots that he had against Vancouver. He had 4 legitimate grade A's. He had 4 in that one sequence on the power play.
Yes.
4 bombs from the fucking same spot on the dot.
I don't know if I've ever seen that.
It was. I mean, you talk about Emmett Smith and the feed me maneuver.
Yeah,
right?
just feed me. Yeah.
But no. God bless you, Victor Olofsson. I'm slurping it. Whatever the hell you're doing, whatever message got sent to you in however you get your messages, where we need you to shoot the puck more. For the love of God, man, keep shooting the puck. Because you know what? Good things happen when you shoot the puck. It's called rebounds and scrambles in front of the net and dirty goals. And Bruce has wanted to talk about dirty goals since the beginning of the seasons, going to the hard area of the ice.
Yeah.
Imagine this. What if Jack Eichel shot with the frequency of Victor Olofsson?
He'd probably score 40 goals.
40? 40?
Well, that's at least 40 goals.
40 would be a meh kind of season. If he had the shot the shot production, but I think I texted you during the Vancouver game. Look at him shoot, right?
Yeah.
Right? Shoot. And listen, they don't all have to be for goals. They can be for rebounds.
Yeah.
They can be for shot passes. But he's the only guy on the roster, right, that's legitimately shot first. Dorofeyev is to a point, right?
Right.
And they both have wicked releases.
Yeah. I don't want Dorofeyev passing the puck.
No.
He's
proven 32 times why he shouldn't pass
33.
the puck. Oh, 33 times.
Yeah.
Why he shouldn't pass
And
the
I
puck.
don't want Victor Olofsson passing the puck.
No.
Shoot the fucking puck.
No, Victor Olofsson, I shouldn't hit the table because it sounds bad on the microphone. Victor Olofsson is being fed by William Karlsson and Riley Smith.
2 guys who distribute the puck very well.
Victor, whatever you do, get your rest between games. Have the massage therapist work on your shoulders and your elbows and your wrists, because tomorrow night against Seattle, I want an 8-pack. I want 8 shots because Seattle is flaming dog shit.
Oh,
they
got demolished.
The network accused them of not even the NHL network I'm referring to on Sirius. They embarrassed themselves.
So you get the game by Seattle where they beat the Kings.
Right.
2-1. And then the very next night they go to Salt Lake City and get the shit kicked out of them.
7-1.
Yeah. Not a good look.
The good thing is they don't give a shit, and they're probably going to get dog walked tomorrow night here at the Fortress.
They should.
But I think that, my God, Victor, I'm asking for an 8-pack. Right, Victor, I'm going to look at the camera. I want you to be a fan of our podcast. Victor Olofsson, I'm expecting 8 shots on goal and at least 1 goal, if not 1-1 from you, because you're my new Vegas Golden Knight, pal. We're going to get you on the podcast next season since we can't get any more players this year because it's playoff time.
Fair enough. You know, I saw that his production had gone up since he started, or his shot production since he started playing with Karlsson and Smith. But
to the surprise of
nobody. That line, though, in general,
they're going,
has been their best line the last 3 games. I thought Karlsson was awesome last night. Like he played,
He controlled the game.
But he seemed to be rounding into playoff form last night.
He's been back 10 games?
But
11
he
games?
hadn't scored since fucking December. Now, he missed 20-something games.
That's kind of a slanted statistic. He didn't score before he got hurt, right? He was in a bit of a slump before he got hurt. He missed 20 games, right? It was lower body. We know that.
Yeah.
We have our speculation to what it was. It's not worth airing because we can't do anything close to factually.
It doesn't fucking matter anyway.
But
anyone listening to this doesn't care.
But he's 10 games back.
About
maybe
that, yeah.
11, right? He's got his legs, but you know what? You know what's even more significant than him getting his legs? He's got his homeboy back.
Yeah, Riley. Yeah.
Right? He's got his homeboy back.
And then you put another Swede on the line with him.
Right. I mean,
and Bruce likes to joke around about speaking each other's languages.
Some other language, right?
Yeah, yeah. Because he obviously, I always I'm always intrigued by that because I'm one of those like geography and flag nerds, and I like languages and stuff. And I always wonder, like, if there's instant chemistry when you have someone on the line.
1,000% there is.
You know, because
because they can direct each other in a way that nobody else on the ice understands.
Yeah, and
even if they never played together.
Right.
Never, ever. Never, not as kids or as juniors or in the A or if they know of each other but have never been in the dressing room, the minute you put them on the line, they're going to excel in ways that nobody else can excel because the yippity-yap that they yippity-yap, they're the only ones that understand it. Scotty Bowman used to tell the story about when he finally put the Russian Five together, right? Nobody knew what the hell was going on.
Yeah.
Right? It was like the Harlem Globetrotters. If you've ever seen any of the old film of them, it was embarrassing. 20, 30 passes in a row, right? If they don't see what they like, they turn around. They don't just dump it in. The Russian-European hockey was never that way.
They cycle it out.
Yep. They reset, and they attack again. There's none of this chip and chase, none of that
New Jersey Devils hockey. Yeah.
North American style hockey. But yeah, there's a distinct advantage. That's part of the reason that Four Nations, the Olympics, the World Cup of Hockey, those tournaments are uniquely different because almost everybody speaks some English.
Yeah. Right?
But the Americans and the Canadians, as a general rule, aren't going to speak Swedish, aren't going to speak Czech, aren't going to speak Russian if they get let in, don't speak Finn, don't speak German.
Right.
Right? So as inferior talent-wise as those clubs are likely to be, they're going to have some chemistry and cohesiveness that's just going to be different, where the American and Canadian cohesiveness is just sheer star power. They're just, they roll out an all-star every
you look at the American
time.
team, Jack Eichel,
right,
Quinn Hughes,
right,
Jack Hughes.
And on the Canadian side, you got
Crosby and McDavid. And
right. Yeah. So there is a significant advantage. When they did play the all-Swede line a couple of times this year, the Golden Knights did.
Yeah.
I bet and we should really try to ask them, how much fun was it playing on a line when you didn't have to speak English to your line mates?
Yeah, you know who used to talk about that a bit? William Carrier, when he used to play with Pierre-Edouard Bellemare.
Really?
Because Bellemare was French.
Right.
Well, Carrier, French-Canadian.
Right.
And then I believe there were times that Nick Waugh would play with those two guys.
Just not Marchessault.
Not Marchessault, yeah. Marchessault was always up the lineup.
Right.
But, like Bellemare, sometimes you'd walk in the locker room and he'd be speaking French to Fleury. Now, from what I understand, French is a little bit different than French-Canadian, but French, I would imagine,
the core is there.
Yes.
It's like Mexican Spanish and Spanish Spain.
Yeah. Like
right?
if I speak Spanish but with a Mexican dialect, I imagine if I go to Spain, there might be a few things I don't understand, but for the most part,
you'll get it.
I'll get it. But it was always interesting to hear them talk about that, like the French connection, basically. And I always enjoyed Pierre-Edouard Bellemare, good guy to talk to. But, like, for him, a guy who's coming from a country that doesn't really produce a ton of any, like Dominic Roussel, I think, was from France.
There ain't many.
Alex, I always forget how to Teixeira. The kid who played with the Blue Jackets. No.
Yeah, Columbus, I think.
Yeah, he was French, but for a French player, I would imagine adjusting to the game is a lot easier when you're doing it with French-Canadian players because the language and
I think they just talk so much shit.
Oh,
they won't tell us, but they have.
Like, think about it. If there's a couple Latvians in the league, and I would imagine
Teddy Bluger.
Yeah, Elvis Merzlikins.
Okay,
but there's a couple of other guys sprinkled in, and I would imagine when those guys go home and practice and train together, the shit talking is got to be fantastic. I would love, like, the German players. There's enough German players. Like, I would imagine Stützle has a relationship with Draisaitl.
And Moritz Seider.
Yeah, and those guys, if it's like an all-star game or whatever, and they're together, I can only imagine how much fun those guys have you come from Germany. Again, you move to North America. You learn the North American game. You're probably, now in the case of the German players, they probably all speak pretty good English to begin with.
Yep.
But when you're on the ice with another German player, it's got to be fun to be able to hey, look at that fucking guy. Let's go embarrass him.
Special chirps.
Yes, yes.
All right, let's get our word in from Joe Riccio and Boris at Marathon Law Group, and we'll be right back.
I'm here with Joe Riccio from Marathon Law Group. And Joe, sometimes when couples go through divorce, one of the partners will deprive the other partner of visitation with their children. Obviously, this is never a good situation for anybody. So what steps can someone take to maybe deal with this type of issue if it arises?
Well, no, thanks, Chris. One of the most important things you can do is make sure that you have a court order. And in the state of Nevada, over the last several years, the Nevada legislature has moved towards involving both parents and finding it best for children to be involved, or parents to be involved with both children equally, both on the legal custody and the physical custody side of things. So if you're being denied time or deprived time, whether it's in a court order or not, you definitely want to take measures to prove or at least show the court that you've been making those overt efforts and that the other side has been depriving you.
So maybe like keeping a calendar or something like that and marking when you have visitation with the child, maybe marking when you should, and if you don't get visitation on that particular day.
Yeah, absolutely. Not only could you keep a calendar log, but there's applications that the parties can get into without the court for free that allow them to communicate that the court can look at when that time is right. And then there's other mechanisms that you can engage in as well, such as text messaging and emailing and making sure you're keeping those records.
So the power play's gone a little cold.
Not to be...
Not terrible.
But it's not
cold.
Unexpected.
Right. There's still, it's the new part syndrome thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the penalty kill, all of a sudden, they were 8 for 8 going into the game last night. They gave up a power play goal to Colorado.
That was the...
But Colorado is a top 5 power play, always have been in the league.
Yeah.
But that's not the story. The story is the old PK magic of 1971.
The power kill.
The power kill,
Yeah.
right? We talked, I think we named it that probably 3 seasons ago.
I think so. That's what the
right?
Yeah.
Right? How good was it to as soon as they broke out, we're like, you could have got up and go to the bathroom and just picked up the highlight.
Yeah.
Because when they broke 3, it took some time. They hadn't played together. Bruce said it.
Carlson coming back from injury.
Right? So, but what a huge boost going down the stretch to have now just a bona fide PK1. Now you've got Eichel, you got Stone, Nick Waugh, Howden, right? Now your PK cupboard is stacked to the brims.
Yeah.
And now a legitimate offensive threat.
Yeah, well, and that's an aspect of the game that seemed to be, although I think I heard that they've scored 6 shorthanded goals this season.
That seems like a lot.
It does seem like a lot.
That seems like a lot.
It does. And I should have looked it up before I spewed it out. But they got one last night, and I think you bring 2 guys back together who understand each other, and
they're best buddies.
It's magic watching that because
they're like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito in Twins.
I was thinking more like Jim Carrey and
I was going to go
Jeff
there.
Bridges.
I was going to go there, but I didn't want to insult them by saying the title of the movie that they were together in.
Twins?
Oh, I thought it was Dumb and Dumber.
Oh, Dumb and Dumber. Well, Twins was Arnold and DeVito.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're like best buddies.
Yeah, they're really close.
Right?
I'm sure their wives are friends.
And Will said it. How happy are you to have Riley back? And it was the first time that I can recall seeing emotion when Will Carlson did media.
Yeah.
He was visibly pumped up.
Yeah, he likes to laugh and joke around, but not so much in the hockey stuff.
And not on camera.
Yes, yeah, he's very very stoic when he's in front of the camera. I don't think he particularly likes doing, post game.
Right.
I think he'd rather just if he was going to come out and talk to us, I think he'd just rather bullshit with us about Star Wars
and soccer,
beer,
right.
So, but Real Madrid, boy, they got the shit kicked out of them yesterday.
Doesn't matter. It's the coolest colored purple tracksuit I could find. And when Adidas put it on sale, I couldn't give one shit. I'm trying to figure out how to get the Real Madrid logos over, but goddamn, purple is a good color.
I'm a big fan. I have a suede purple sport coat.
See, there you go.
I love purple.
Purple is everything.
I'm like fucking Prince. I have purple shoes.
Don't you dare. Don't you?
Just in the fact that I like the color purple.
Okay, that's good, but don't you dare.
Not talent-wise.
Don't you dare.
By the way, Purple Rain was on the other day.
I know.
I hadn't seen that in so long.
The remastered version was in theaters for a couple of days. It was really kind of cool. If the PK comes around, and we know Hurdle's coming back.
Right. I imagine Jack will be back.
Let's talk about that very briefly because we have to talk about the stretch run, and then I have a teaser for you. We just might see the lineup before April 20th. I'm already into the middle of I'm already in the second month of next season.
Easter Sunday.
Yeah, before Easter Sunday. I mean, if the PK comes around, the power play will be right. As soon as as soon as they put their pieces back in, they're going to be the number one power play in the NHL at 30-some percent.
Yeah,
right.
That's what they've been.
Right. I still think they're gonna be a horse. Right.
Yeah, they're because you can move Will down to PK or PP2. And you have his intelligence and his playmaking ability,
and you have Hanifin and
you can interchangeable. I think
right. Theodore got some reps on PP1 last night, and
by the way,
also against Vancouver.
I don't know if we talked about it last week, but it was kind of lost because he got hurt at the Four Nations faceoff. Just how good of a season Shea Theodore was having offensively. He was a point-a-game guy.
He was tracking for, I think I read 85 or 87 points.
He is, he's always been really good, but I think it's safe to say he was having his best season in the NHL. And it's not even close.
No, not close.
He's a guy, if he can stay healthy, and that's always the big if.
Right.
But there's zero reason why and the Norris seems to be interchangeable every year. And I think he's got to be a finalist before he wins it. It's tough with Makar and Hughes because those two guys seem head and shoulders above everyone else.
He's a top 5 offensive defenseman in the NHL.
He's that fucking good.
Yeah.
And Pietrangelo is really good, and Hanifin is a notch below. But Hanifin, when he was asked to step in, he did really good.
They were unstoppable.
He proved that he's capable of big time minutes in the crunch. And he some guys, they're asked to step up and
they struggle.
Yeah. Whether it's the pressure or they're just not good enough. Noah Hanifin, he's good enough and he handled the pressure. So to me, that's a win for Bruce because he knows, all right, well, in a situation like that. But anyway, having those two guys on your power play being interchangeable, depending on, all right, well, maybe you're not going to have them both out there at the same time. That's not, but I think knowing that for the second unit, you could have either Hanifin or Theodore, and I think it'll probably end up being Hanifin. But the confidence that he's had to have gained from playing with Jack and Hurdle on that first power play unit
should bring it.
It's only beneficial because now he knows he's good enough and he knows he's got the skills. He knows that the coach can count on him.
Well, listen,
it's a win.
PP2 is it's not yes, it's definitely a step down from the all world that they put on PP1. But you have my new favorite Golden Knight, Victor Olofsson.
Yeah, Arvidsson's down I-15 a little bit.
Right. So you have Victor Olofsson.
Oh, no, he's in Edmonton now, Arvidsson. He's the one who scored that goal against Hill last week where he was pushing it and pissed off Aiden.
So you have Olofsson. You have Carlson sort of captaining it.
Yeah.
Brett Howden. Right? So it's not like, yes, it's a drop-off. There's no team in the NHL that has 2 power play 1 units
Yeah, I mean, look at the Oilers.
Well, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. Hannafin should. There's a lot that I like about Hannafin on the power play. He gets more shots through.
Yes, that's
and I know that's a micro nerd statistic and it's an eye test thing.
But it's not an irrelevant statistic.
As much as they dance the line each way, right? Hannafin doesn't necessarily shoot it as hard, but I think he gets more shots through to the net. And it causes more of a ruckus in front of the net. And
because you've got guys like Nick Waugh who are in front of the net.
And it makes them go get it.
Yeah.
That's the thing. If the puck's there, they'll track it and go get it, right?
What I like about Hannafin, on whether it's the first unit or the second unit, he doesn't fumble the puck when it comes to him at the blue line. Like a lot of times you may see that with other guys where there's a pass that's right on the tape, and maybe they misplay the puck and it bounces around and it goes out of the zone. And
he's smooth.
Yeah, like he doesn't. You don't see that. And again, that's one of those things that maybe if you've been watching the game long enough, it's got to be frustrating when you see that as a fan, right? Like a fan, like the PP unit is cruising and maybe they've already gotten a shot through and it just and they cycle back and then the puck goes out of the zone because someone misplays the puck. Like, I get pissed off watching that up in the press box. So, like, for fans who have a lot more invested in it than me, it's got to irritate the hell out of them. But Noah Hannafin doesn't do that. Like,
he's silky.
He is. And
silky.
It's an aspect of the game that I think is underappreciated, that you don't have to worry very much about him misplaying a puck and it goes out of the zone and you got to reset. Because sometimes getting it back in is not easy, especially if it goes all the way back to the goalie.
Right.
Like, so just little observation from me in his game.
Do you know who I think his name is Dave Durkin is? Dave Durkin or Dan Durkin? Do you know who that is?
The last name sounds familiar.
Okay. He's famous for 5 words. Down the stretch they come. He's the horse racing announcer, and we'll get Tom to throw that in there. Down the stretch they come. Right?
Yeah.
That's Golden Knight time, right?
Yeah.
Seattle, Nashville, Vancouver, and Calgary. 4 games to go. They've got a little bit of a lead.
Yes.
They've secured
home ice, at least in the first round.
At least in the first round. Still something to play for.
So they're 5 points clear of LA. Is that? I should look. I have it right in front of me.
Yeah, let's go to the stats on NHL.com. I think that the magic number is 6. I think Edmonton is done.
Yes, Edmonton is done. They cannot catch Golden Knights.
But
they are 10 points behind Vegas.
I think that the magic number, and for you folks that want to know what that means, the magic number is a points total that is both points that you win and points that the other team loses. So it's like a theoretical statistic. Any combination of 6 points that the Golden Knights get, I think, gets them home.
Yes, they have a 6-point lead on the LA Kings. So LA has 5 games. Best they could do is 107 points. Best Vegas can do is 111.
Right.
So, and they have the tiebreaker over the LA Kings. So basically, Vegas gets 4 more points in their next 4 games. Am I doing that right? Yeah, that's 107. So they would be tied with LA. So I guess the magic number is
what's the spread with Edmonton and LA? Is that
4 points? Yeah,
same number.
They both
of
have
games?
77 games. So basically, if LA loses a game and Vegas wins,
we're almost done.
It's going to take LA running the table and Vegas basically losing out. So, yeah.
So it got a little hairy there for a second. It got down to 1. It was at 9 and 11, and LA picked up 9 points in 3 weeks, even with the Golden Knights going like 7-3-1.
Yeah, the Kraken and the Ducks both doing solids for Vegas on Monday night.
Yeah, that was
unexpected.
Quite a bit of
Chicago. LA played a great fucking game against the Kraken.
They owned them,
and somehow
was it that the Cord kid?
Yes, yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Joey DeCord, yeah, and somehow LA lost that game. By the way,
do we have any doubts?
No, they're going to win the division.
They're going to win the division.
Yeah, listen, the they should. The Kraken have packed it in.
Based on last night, they
Well,
certainly
based
did.
on the fact that they probably should have gotten boat raced against the Kings, and they didn't. So for Vegas, you win tomorrow night against the Kraken. I don't care what LA does. You just handle your business. You win your 2 home games. I don't think it matters what LA does because I don't think they're going to be able to match Vegas.
Can Edmonton catch LA for second?
Yes, they can. They can.
And I think they play once more.
They might, yeah. Well, LA whooped their ass last week, Saturday.
Well, we talked about it briefly in episode 105.
I don't want to go to LA for 4 games.
No, and I don't think Edmonton does either.
No, I put
I
it
don't
out
think
there.
anybody does.
I think LA will. This is the year where they'll beat the Oilers, which is probably not what you want because I think Vegas is so much superior to Edmonton in so many ways that you probably want Edmonton to beat LA. But
As a fan of hockey, you certainly want that because the Edmonton Vegas games will be certainly significantly more entertaining.
and there's a lot of bad blood.
and
which-
and that fucking cancer is going to probably be back in
Evander
the line.
Kane? How did I know?
Evander Cancer.
How did I know?
Yeah.
By the way, still an interesting battle for the wild card spot. Now, I think
I remember that there was somebody on this podcast, one of the two of us, I'm not exactly remember who it was, that said that St. Louis was going to be the number 1 wild card.
yeah, well, it's not guaranteed.
No,
Minnesota does have a game in hand, but they're 2 points. By the way, St. Louis has as many points as Edmonton.
I know.
That team, and I've talked about it. I don't know if I talked about it on this podcast, but I know I've talked about it with other people. Vegas should beat the Blues, but they kind of scare me a little bit, much more than the Minnesota Wild do, and I'll tell you why.
But
Because
Minnesota's getting both their horses back. tonight.
Yeah, but
still, they've been gone a long time.
What worries me about the Blues, and it's going to sound funny, it's Jordan Binnington.
How could he not worry?
He's
He's big
He's
game
big
Jordan.
game. Like, I used to shit all over the guy. I would joke about how overrated he was or the way he would act like a crybaby. Listen,
Those are all. Well, the second part's true.
but he's
big
a
games?
big game goalie, and I think a game 7 with that guy in net,
He's the only.
he certainly won't be intimidated.
He's the only way that St. Louis beats Vegas in a series.
He has won.
He needs to win the series because outside of the goal, there's not a lot of comparison between the
but
two lineups.
It's
And
with
that's-
him.
That's not saying
St.
Aiden-
Louis is a good team.
That's not saying Aiden Hill would lose the series. I'm saying that that Jordan
Binnington could steal the
will
series.
have the only way that they're going to win is if he's going to steal the series.
But like with
and I have no concerns about the guy in Minnesota doing that.
no.
Gustafson. No,
Yeah.
I have no concerns whatsoever about that.
Yeah, you can bring Kaprizov back. You bring back Eriksson Ek.
You can bring back Mike Wadano for all I give a fuck.
Neil Bratton.
Neil Broughton, yeah. You can bring back Lou Nanny. Nobody on the podcast knows who Lou
Oh,
Nanny is.
he was in the
Well, we
building.
saw Lou Nanny in the press box. That was like a trip down my little memory lane. I am in the mood as we wrap up episode 106. Let's have a contest.
Okay.
We're going to have a special guest next week.
Okay.
We're not exactly sure it is. We want to tease that you're going to know who it is when we tell you. It's not going to be a special guest that nobody's fucking heard of.
Yeah. Not some Facebook guy.
Right. Yeah. No, fuck Ron. But I want to have a contest.
Okay.
I want it to be me and you and our special guest who does make predictions.
Yes.
Our special guest likes to make predictions, but we're going to open it up to all of the podcast listeners. And here is the bet, the pool bet.
Okay.
There's going to be 8 first-round series, right?
Okay.
You have to pick the winner of each series. The first tiebreaker is the number of games. The second tiebreaker, I can say that. The second tiebreaker is the total number of goals. So we'll put out a little thing. Once, I think we've got one playoff matchup set, maybe two. So there's still a lot going on. But by the time we record episode 107, next Thursday or Friday, the playoffs will be set.
Yeah.
And we'll put up a graphic with all the first round matches, and we dare you, subscribers. We want your picks. We want to know who's going to win these series. And don't just pick chalk. Don't be a pussy and just pick the favorites, right? Because there's going to be an upset, right? I guarantee you there will be at least one upset in the first round.
I will tell you this.
Possibly two.
I don't know who the Ottawa Senators are going to play. They're going to win their first round series.
The angry Brady Kachucks?
Yes.
So that's it. So let's do this. Me, you, our special guest, and the listeners. First round, pick the winners, pick the number of games, pick the total number of goals in the series. Those are the tiebreakers. Winner, dinner at our very favorite Mexican place.
Sounds good to me.
No, not that one. The other one. Let's go to Juan's.
Okay. Well, either one's fine with me.
Yeah. So, folks, the prize, and if you don't know, we're about to educate you. Juan's Flaming Fajitas on West Tropicana is where the winner is going to join Chris Chapman and I for the winner of the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Pool. We'll get some paperwork and pretty graphics and stuff like that up for you. And if it goes well, if we get a few people responding, and I think this is going to be pretty popular. The tickets were a pretty popular way to get people engaged.
Yeah, free food is always good.
Free food is good, but people like to bet on the playoffs.
Yeah. Well, listen, people will bet on anything.
So if it goes good, maybe we'll do it for the second round too. Because
as long as Vegas keeps winning, we can.
Yeah, because if that happens where they get eliminated, I don't think it's going to work too much.
Yeah, and I don't really feel like doing much of a podcast when they're eliminated.
Yeah,
I don't fucking give a shit about.
So let's wrap up 106. We've teased what's going to happen in 107. We would be remiss if we did not congratulate Alex Ovechkin on a truly historic achievement in passing Wayne Gretzky.
Did you like the celebration?
I did.
Did you like?
I did. I liked his celebration.
Yeah,
I liked his celebration.
It was recreating him diving in the fountain after. Well,
and I liked his celebration. I liked how the league handled it. It did go a little bit long. They said we're not going to go 7. We went 25. I liked that Wayne Gretzky was there. I more liked that Wayne Gretzky was wearing the Gordie Howe pin. Those little nuances are not lost on me, especially being a Detroit guy. I think that if Austin Matthews scored 45 goals a year, he would break his record in 2036. I think that's the statistic that they were talking
the
about.
longevity. And I had the conversation with someone last week about the fact that when you factor in how many games, maybe it was you in the press box, how many games Ovechkin lost due to lockouts and this year the broken leg. Like he, in theory, could have broken this record a year and a half ago.
But you know what the most telling statistic to me about this whole thing is? How many goals did Wayne Gretzky have in his last season? You know?
Probably like 12.
Close. 9.
Yeah.
At age 37.
In St. Louis?
Probably. Alex Ovechkin has 41 and counting at age 39, playing on the possible President's Cup winning team. And I think that has a lot, honestly.
The fact that he's fully dialed in, he wants to win.
As bad as they were last year, a lot of the credit for this has to go to the Washington front office for not letting that be, an ongoing thing. And when
they made some moves. They brought in Jacob Chikrin.
But when they started winning right out of the gate, what did they get? They got an engaged grade 8. Mm-hmm. And an engaged grade 8, he's a fucking beast,
because you think about his start to last season.
That's what I mean.
He wasn't very good.
No, he was
and
terrible.
And then after the All-Star break, he really turned it up. And because there was a period of time last year where you're like, he needs 100 goals. He may not get there.
This chase for the President's Cup and them being this good this year, I think you can absolutely say is the wood in the fire that got him to where it is. So congratulations, Alex.
And good on the Capitals for attempting to right? Because a lot of times you have that aging superstar, you're thinking about rebuilding.
Yep.
And they went out and they brought in a goalie. They have this kid Alexei Protas, who spells his Alexei very strange, but he's a fucking good player.
They're
a good team.
They're a good club.
I think they'll be exposed in the playoffs.
I do too.
But for the regular season, they're a really good team.
So congratulations, Alex. The other thing that was great is when he told Spencer Carberry he's not going out for the empty net.
I like that.
You know what? I think that shows he has a respect. Listen, I think Gretzky had 8% of his goals were empty nets.
Yeah.
Ovechkin's got like 60 or 70.
Yeah.
Something like that.
They count the same.
They close out games.
But I think he did not want to break the record that way.
No, because it would have been insulting to the code. And we talked about the code when we talked about that guy on Tampa a few
Emil
episodes.
Littleberg.
But
your buddy.
I like the fact that he was like, no, right?
I respect it.
And I respect the fact that he did it from his office on the power. That's poetic justice. That's how that goal was supposed to happen.
The joke I saw was congratulations to Alex Ovechkin because he did something nobody thought was possible, getting people to watch an Islanders game.
Nice. Well played, whoever said
it was pretty funny.
That's pretty fantastic, actually.
Because you and me have watched the Islanders on more than one occasion, and
only when I need to go to sleep.
I remember I was up in Seattle and I was going to go to a Kraken game, and I looked at the schedule. I'm like, the Islanders. No, I'm not going to go.
106 is in the books. Thanks as always to the Las Vegas Advisor, www.lasvegasadvisor.com, by my very good friend Dr. John Pierce at agelessforever.net, and by Joe Riccio and Boris at the Marathon Law Group, marathonlawgroup.com. Episode 106 is in the books. We want to thank all of you as always. Look for a teaser video, a shameless teaser video of us begging for subscribers. That'll be coming out later today. Just a little teaser and a lead up into episode 106. Episode 107 will be next week, and it will hit the airwaves before the beginning of the playoffs, so you'll have a chance to get in on the pool. Again, thanks as always. We really do appreciate it. Episode 106 in my book is over. We are out of here.